What's good, y'all? And welcome to another preseason preview, and this one we're going to be doing the Houston Rockets. If you've seen these videos already, I'm going to make this quick. If this is your first time though, I had this list right here of NBA teams that I'm going to be doing preseason breakdowns on. If you see your favorite team on that list, comment down below and I'll make it, bump it up to the top of the list, get it out faster for you guys. The teams that have the check marks on it, those are the ones we already done, so if you're interested in that, the playlist is in the description right now. What's up, guys? This is Jacob from the future. I just want to let you guys know I recorded this footage a few days before you guys are seeing it. So in that case, I recorded it a few days before the news broke of Kevin Porter Jr. and him getting arrested for domestic violence. Obviously, he shouldn't be in the Rockets' future plans. He shouldn't be in the NBA's future plans. And, hopefully all that situation gets resolved and he gets what he deserves and his girlfriend can, mentally and physically heal from this. Just wanted to let you guys know he will be talked about in this video, but that obviously he's not going to be part of the Rockets organization. And now that we got that out the way, we can get straight to the Houston Rockets talk. I have a little bit of an attachment to the Houston Rockets because my most popular video to this date right now is a video on Alperen Sengun. And so, really shout out to you guys. I think it got over 13,000 views last time. Still by far my biggest video right now. So I got a little bit of special spot in my heart for Sengun specifically and then the Houston Rockets. But they made a lot of changes this offseason. Probably some of the most. I don't know exactly by moves or by players added to their team or whatever. But they made a whole bunch of moves. So let's start by looking at what they brought in. Since the Rockets brought in so many different guys, I had to boil it down to the ones that I think are going to make the biggest impact on the Rockets. Starting off with their two biggest free agency signings, big money Fred VanVleet right there signing that huge contract with the Houston Rockets. Dillon Brooks also got a pretty big payday from the Rockets. And then Houston was also really active in the draft, drafting Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore. And then some of the other notable guys that they brought in were Jeff Green, Jock Landale, and the new head coach, Ime Udoka. Arguably the biggest addition is Ime Udoka. I think he's going to come in and make a huge impact on this team, giving them structure, giving them leadership, giving them culture, just all around. I think him coming in is going to just boost up this team immensely. And I think that was a big emphasis this offseason for them, was trying to, get more of that culture and that structure around, because bringing in a guy like Jeff Green, who's, 15-year vet, NBA champion, been around the league, around so many guys, he, I'm sure, has a lot to say about how to play winning basketball in the NBA. And say what you want about Dillon Brooks, but he is also a huge locker room guy, leadership guy, culture guy. He was like the heart and soul of Memphis last season, where he would come in and, we're not taking anything. We're setting the tone here, stunting our stuff. We know we're upcoming and everything. Like, he was the one that was pushing that. Fred VanVleet is another guy that's also like that, another hard-nosed, lead-by-example type of guy, also an NBA champion, knows what it's like to win, knows how to also scrape his way up, coming from the G League, undrafted, making now, an $80 million contract that he just signed. So when it comes to the vets that they signed, I think it is perfect. They had the money, they had to spend it. Obviously, they're bringing in more talent, but I really do like the focus on, that leadership, locker room culture that they were really doing. And then when you look at their draft, I think they arguably had the best draft. Maybe not including the Spurs, because when you get Victor Wembanyama, it's hard to top that. But still, getting Amen Thompson, who I'm really high on, dropping all the way to 4. I don't know if that's really a drop, but still getting him at 4 was incredible. And then Cam Whitmore, I know that was a drop, getting him, I think, in the 20s, if I'm not mistaken, which was insane. In order to make all of these great moves, though, they did have to sacrifice some of their young pieces. So let's take a look at the guys that they lost this offseason. The Rockets were very active in trade talks this free agency, moving a decent amount of their young players. Kenyon Martin, who played 82 games for the Rockets last season, got traded to the Clippers. Josh Christopher was traded in a sign-in trade to the Grizzlies for Dillon Brooks. And then Usman Garuba got bounced around a few teams before ultimately getting cut. Now, I know for you Rockets fans, it might be tough to see some of your favorite guys. Kenyon Martin, I'm sure, was a fan favorite. Josh Christopher, all these guys that you've seen from being so young just grow up into all this. It does suck. But I'm telling you, it's definitely a good thing. Once you guys traded James Harden, you went into full rebuild mode, just, collecting as much talent as you can. Now you're moving on to the next step. You got to sift through that talent that you got, pick the ones you think are going to be the best and you want to build around, and then you got to just let go of the rest. It's a consolidation thing. You got your new head coach, so you know what he has as a vision for this roster. You have the guys that you think are going to be your stars, your Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun, those guys. Then you got to figure out which ones around them you can use as role players, and then everyone else, you just got to get out, get value for them, open up roster spots, whatever it is. You just have to consolidate your young guys and now really get into a competitive NBA team. And now that the Rockets have consolidated and made these moves, let's take a look at their potential rotation. There are a lot of new faces in this Rockets rotation, 5 to be exact. Looking at the starting lineup first though, you got Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun. And off the bench, you got your top 5 lottery pick, Amen Thompson, Kevin Porter Jr., Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, and Jacques Landale. The craziest part about this to me is even with bringing in your vets of Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Jacques Landale, the average age of their rotation right there is 23 years old. This team is so young, they have plenty of time to grow together. You know, it's not a thing that you have to rush. This season, if they're not great, okay, fine, we have next season. Even after that, if they're not great, fine, you have next season. That's how young they really are. And I also really do like the size of this rotation too. Besides Fred VanVleet, who's 6'1", everyone else in the rotation is at least 6'4" or taller. They can really put some dynamic lineups out there with just all that size that they have. You know, Jabari Smith Jr. is also 6'10" at the power forward position, 6'7" Amen Thompson at the point guard position. They just have size all around. And then real quick too, I do want to just say, even though Cam Whitmore was Summer League MVP, for some reason, if he is struggling to really make an impact, I can see them moving Tari Eason to the small forward position and then inserting Jeff Green at that backup power forward position just to get some of that more, you know, veteran locker room leadership on the court as well. And, you know, Cam Whitmore, he was a late first round pick. I know he has all this potential and everything. Sometimes those guys just don't get PT right away. So if that's the case, I can definitely see them doing that. And that leads us to the Rockets' strength, which I believe is going to be their defense. Here you can see a majority of the Rockets' rotational players along with their stocks. If you don't know, stocks are steals per game plus blocks per game. And I mentioned this during the Lakers preseason video. I know that steals and blocks are not all that equates to defense, but this is just a cool visualization for you guys. I do want to highlight Amen Thompson averaging 3.2 stocks per game at the point guard position. And I know it was in the overtime elite league, so you got to take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But still, that's very talented, and to average over 2 steals per game and just barely under a block per game at the guard position, it's incredible. The Rockets really have potential to have an incredible defense this year. If you just look at their players alone, you got Dylan Brooks, who was an all-defensive team member. Fred VanVleet, I don't think he ever made it, but he is still a great defender. I was just talking about Amen Thompson in the overtime elite. You know, he's definitely going to translate that over to the NBA. Tari Eason off their bench too, incredible defender, incredible hustle player. And then even when you look at their players that aren't really defenders, they are so young and so athletic that they really can be great defenders if they just bought into it. You know, Jalen Green, jump out the gym, super athletic. He could definitely become, you know, something on the defensive side of the ball. Jabari Smith Jr., again, I was saying he was 6'10" before, also super athletic. Kevin Porter Jr., Cam Whitmore, these are guys that have, you know, big bodies. They're quick, they're fast, they can jump. Really, if they bought in, they can be, and I'm sure they will buy in because their head coach is now Ime Udoka. Ime got the amazing blessing of coaching under Greg Popovich for many years, learning that incredible defensive system that the Spurs run. Then also his first time being a head coach with Boston, they had, I think it was the best defense in the NBA. If not the best, it was at least top 3. I do expect this Rockets team to lock in on the defensive side of the ball. The one kind of hole that they could exploit though on defense is they really don't have a good rim protector. You know, Alperen Sengun, he's not a high riser. He's not going to be blocking shots above the rim. Jacques Landale, he is not either. He's not really going to be jumping out the gym blocking those shots. So we're going to probably have to lean on guys like Jabari Smith Jr. to protect the paint. Maybe Tari Eason too a little bit as well. That could be the one little caveat here, but besides that, they are keen to be a great defensive team. But as always, you can't talk about the good without talking about the bad, and their bad is just their inexperience. When you take away the Rockets' free agent signings this year, the 7 other rotational players are all under the age of 23. Some of these guys are younger than me, and that still blows my mind. Just like I was saying before, this Rockets team is so young that even if they're not good this year, that's fine. Next year, that's still fine. The year after that even, it's still fine. They are that young. You have to give players a chance to grow and everything. You know, you can't just expect them to, you know, now that they got a new head coach, Jalen Green's going to be an all-star. Sengun's going to be an all-star. You can't really expect that. Can it happen? Sure. Should you expect it? No. Just to put it into perspective, though, when you take out Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, the other 8 rotational players of the Rockets, if you add all of their seasons combined in the NBA, they played 12 seasons. That's less than Jeff Green alone, who played 15 seasons so far. I can even see the Rockets just starting off the season slow just because they're not used to this new play style of actual structured basketball with a real leader and, you know, real vets around them and everything. No disrespect to anyone that was on that previous Rockets team, but you could definitely tell there's a whole new wave coming in right now. I did also just want to slide this in. I could see this team also really struggling to shoot the ball. Fred VanVleet is coming off of a very bad shooting season from him. Dillon Brooks is, you know, really infamous right now for being a bad shooter. Amen Thompson doesn't really shoot the ball that well. Şengün hasn't been shooting the ball that well in his NBA career so far. There's just a lot of different guys that have potential to shoot bad, and if that's the case and they all are shooting bad, it's going to be rough. That being said, though, it's time to get to the floors and ceilings of this team. Of course, always got to start on the high note. The ceiling for this Rockets team, I have them being the 10th seed and making the play-in tournament. In this scenario, you really feel the impact of Ime Udoka and those other great veterans that they brought in, really just helping these young guys realize what NBA basketball is, how to win playing NBA basketball, and all of that. I'm not going to predict which one, but at least one of Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, or Şengün are in all-star talks at least. There's so many talented players in the NBA, especially out west, especially at that guard position. That's the only reason why I didn't really give it to Jalen Green. So maybe Şengün or Jabari in the weaker front court can kind of get those nods. But at the end of the day, as I was just saying, with the talent, this goes with the teams too. The West is so deep now. The 10th seed is honestly still a little bit of a stretch for this Rockets team. Hopefully they can do it. Hopefully all this happens. That's the highest they can go, though. That is definitely their ceiling. When it comes to their floor, though, unfortunately, they do still have a very low floor, being the 14th seed in the lottery. Honestly, in this scenario, too, it's not even like anything detrimental happened to the Rockets. It's just still, the West is so deep. I was going through, and I was really trying my hardest to figure out where to place this team. The only team I can kind of guarantee they're going to be better with is the Trailblazers. I believe Dame's going to get traded, and if Dame gets traded, this team's definitely going to be better than the Blazers. Besides that, man, everything else is kind of a toss-up. Maybe the Spurs, they could be better than, but still, maybe Vic comes out and swinging, and he's just really good. It's really difficult to do this. I'm scared to do my actual final standings prediction. That's how deep this West is. Let me know where you think the Rockets are going to land in the standings this season, though. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch ya.